One day, I looked down at my feet, which I normally never do. Sorry about all the feet in this video. And I realized that my toes were all like crunched up and jammed together to the point that my toes like fit together like puzzle pieces. I thought that there's no way that my feet should look like a freaking like Tokyo subway at rush hour, and that feet should be shaped like feet instead of the two Rayleigh's baguettes that I'm using to schlep myself around this mortal coil. 3 hours of Googling and diving down the foot-infested rabbit hole later, I learned that modern shoes, like these and these, aren't really designed with foot health in mind at all, but they're more so designed just to appease the fashion police. And wearing shoes for fashion instead of function can lead to health problems like knee pain, back pain, bunions, which require a very painful corrective surgery and definitely run in my family, and crunchy toes, which is not the medical term, but it's the term that I like to use. And another day I was at my friend T's house, and T is very into barefoot shoes, and he's been wearing them almost exclusively for the past few years. And he wears everything from sandals that look like a G-string for your feet to those creepy granola eater glove shoes. But T was never preachy about recruiting people into his barefoot shoe cult. And when I brought up to him that I was barefoot shoe curious, he gave me this pair of barefoot shoes for free because they were a size too big for him and he was too lazy to return them and missed his return window. Now here I am 2 months after wearing barefoot shoes exclusively, and I don't think I can ever go back to wearing regular shoes. The thing that makes barefoot shoes different from regular bread-shaped shoes is that this is going to sound kind of stupid, but I like to call barefoot shoes like the analog shoes. I know there's no electronics in either of these shoes, but they are the shoe that is designed to let your feet work the way that God intended, whereas these just kind of cram your feet into them so that they can look nice. And I have a pair of loafers here to better illustrate it, but the same thing applies to sneakers. So the thing that makes barefoot shoes different from regular normal ass bread shaped shoes is that they are, number one, they are foot shaped so that your feet can do what they were designed to do, as in spread your toes out and walk and have muscles and all of that, whereas a regular bread shaped shoes just kind of cram your toes in there so they can look nice. They're not super functional. Even something like a New Balance 990, which is like a like a dad comfort shoe, it's still cramming the toes in there, especially you can compare it to a barefoot shoe. And then they also have a zero drop sole. So as you can see, the sole on this is perfectly flat. It's just like the Horizon, but on regular modern shoes there's usually a lift at the heel because fashion. Even something like the quintessential dad shoe is still going to have a drop from the heel to the toe, and that changes the way that we walk and stand and interact with the world. And it's kind of insane that this has just been like the standard of design. And why is this the niche thing when this is just the normal thing that our feet normally do? And the last difference is that barefoot shoes have a thin sole, so you can see this one is a little on the thicker end, but this one is the one that my friend T gave me. These are super thin compared to sneakers. Yeah, that's a lot of cush on there compared to this. And the idea is that it lets your foot do what it was designed to do, rather than being forced to work with this kind of weird design that's super cushy, has a hot raised heel, and jams your toes into this weird pointed shape rather than being foot shaped. The thin sole allows you to feel what you're walking on while still giving you protection. And barefoot shoes have completely changed the way that I think about shoes, because at the end of the day, after like a really long day, saying like cramming your feet in a pair of loafers, the best thing is to just take off your shoes. But if that's something that I was experiencing, that means those shoes just kind of suck because they're not doing their job of just like protecting my feet and letting them do what my feet were made to do. So the best shoes are no shoes, and that's the idea behind barefoot shoes that I found, because after T gave me this pair of shoes, I've been wearing them exclusively until I got my other pairs of Barefoot shoes and the Barefoot sandals. And I would go out all day with them. I'd walk a few miles every day, and I would not have any pain. These are the most comfortable shoes that I've ever worn, and that goes for all of these Barefoot shoes. And I don't have that feeling at the end of the day, even a long day of walking like 5 or 6 miles or whatever, that it's a relief to take off the shoes, because I feel like my feet can just do what they were made to do, and that I'm not cramming my feet into these weird ass fashion shoes. Barefoot shoes usually have an adjustment period where it takes a while for you to get used to wearing them, but I just full committed and started wearing them exclusively after goodbye after T gave me my first pair of shoes, and I haven't had any hiccups in trying to adjust to them at all. I am pretty fit. I haven't had any like back problems or foot problems in the past, so that might be a contributing factor. But I have found that these shoes get more comfortable as my feet have gotten stronger and have gotten back to doing foot things like using toes. Also, when I'm wearing these shoes, it just kind of feels like I'm getting a deeper workout in my legs, and I'm using more of the muscles in my legs more completely as I'm just walking around. And because there's no support in the shoes that allows me to be lazy, it makes me really more aware of my posture while I'm standing, while I'm walking, because if I have bad posture, things are going to start hurting. And also because there's not a lot of cushion, it forces me to take smaller steps, but lighter steps and quicker steps. And it's going to sound so weird, but it is a completely different walking experience where you kind of have to relearn how to walk the correct way. This might sound a little goofy, but I also find walking in barefoot shoes really fun. Look, I'm a drummer, okay? And something really important for drumming and for technique is being able to feel the pedals. Like, it's just the toes that make the movement. And I found that with the barefoot shoes, I'm kind of like applying this drumming mindset of like feeling with my feet to just walking around. And especially with like that thinner sole shoe, I feel like I'm interacting with the world more with my feet. I know this sounds so like hippie and weird, but it has made walking fun because it's a completely different experience where I can feel the textures that I'm walking on, even with the shoe. Like, you can feel little pebbles with how thin this shoe is, and I could feel like the grass or the dirt, or like concrete versus asphalt, and even like the temperature. Like, I could feel heat radiating off of asphalt when I'm wearing those barefoot shoes. And it's kind of like, for a lot of you, that's going to sound like, oh, that's weird, that's uncomfortable, I want to be as like protected as possible. But for me, like, it's not painful, so I kind of welcome that experience, and it's made walking kind of fun. And after 2 months of wearing barefoot shoes, my toes are a little less crunched up. I mean, it still is kind of shaped like Ed from Ed, Edd and Eddy. I don't have like that crazy toe splay yet that a lot of YouTube thumbnails are showing, toes that can reach across the Grand Canyon. I'm not there yet. It's only been 2 months, but there is a significant improvement in my feet, going back to looking like feet instead of bread. And my toes are no longer like crunched in. They've straightened out, and they have gotten significantly wider, even with this pair of sandals. So like, when I first got these sandals, they felt like super wide. Like, I was barely filling up this gap, but now my toes are like starting to splay out, and this is like just barely wide enough for me. And it's kind of cool to see my feet go back to their original form and intended purpose. And it's gotten to the point where I can't even really wear my regular shoes anymore because my feet have gotten wider. Like, I can fit inside these loafers, but it's pretty damn uncomfortable. Like, I have to really squeeze into it. I did not have to do this before, and I can feel my toes really being squeezed in. And even if you just like look at the profile of it, like how the heck am I supposed to fit my foot into this? Like my foot is low-key bigger than the shoe at some points. Like it's asinine that this is the standard of shoes. And you know, as much as I like my New Balances and I used to like wearing my loafers when they fit, I just can't wear them anymore. I also have a pair of boots and running shoes. They just don't really fit anymore. And because of that, like I cannot go back to bread-shaped shoes because they're just painful to wear now. And I realized like the whole concept of breaking shoes in is kind of back-assward because shoes should just fit your feet. You shouldn't have to break them in. What is really happening is the shoes are breaking you in and your feet are getting conformed to the shape of the shoe. It's crazy. I've also realized that my feet are getting buffer. Like this whole bulge right here of muscle, that is new. And I just feel like, yeah, I've got, sorry showing, I know this is a weird ass video guys, but like, I just gotta show you the changes because like, I didn't have a lot of this muscle mass on my feet before. Probably the hardest thing for me to start trying barefoot shoes was that, I mean, honestly, they don't look as cool as regular shoes, the metagame shoes, because, you know, the metagame has had so many centuries to evolve into what they are now, or they just have like classic staples like the loafer. And I feel like a lot of the barefoot shoe companies don't super care about how the shoes look, and I got 3 of the ones that I think look the best. Luckily T also has good taste and he just has an all black sneaker that he gave me. And then I have a Chukka boot from Soft Star. Oh, by the way, this company's called Zero. Not affiliated with them or anything. I just got these for free and like them from my friend. And this is just a Chukka boot, and yeah, it kind of looks like Ronald McDonald's shoe when you look at it from the top, but if you're looking at it from the side or at an angle, it still looks it looks fine. And I bought these to replace my loafers because there's no way I'm wearing that for 6 hours at a wedding next month. But this I could totally wear at a wedding. And these I found look really good because they just kind of look like Birkenstocks, except they're barefoot and more comfortable in my opinion. By the way, Soft Star makes these two right here. All of their shoes are handmade in the USA, so that's pretty cool. But overall, barefoot shoes are not going to be as stylish as like modern shoes, modern normal shoes, because like there's just so many choices when it comes to regular sneakers. If you are willing to sacrifice your foot health and continue cramming your toes inside a bread-shaped wedge. And there's some really strange barefoot shoes out there. A lot of them are going to look kind of like hippy-dippy shoes. We don't even have to mention the Vibram glove shoe. So if you want something that's stylish, the best you're probably going to get is something that's inoffensive and that can just blend in and look like a normal shoe. A lot of people have some pain and have like a really like month-long or 3-month-long transition period to start getting used to barefoot shoes and to build up the muscles. I didn't have that, so it was fine. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube that can teach you how to transition into barefoot shoes if that's something you're interested in. But also, barefoot shoes are going to be more expensive than regular sneakers if that's something you're considering. These boots were $175, which all things considered, made in the USA, $175 for leather Chukkas, not bad. And then these sandals are like $125. I think these Zero shoes go for around $100. They can be a little bit pricey, especially if you're used to spending like $40 for a pair of shoes at Payless or something. But the reason barefoot shoes have such a cult following is because they dramatically change your feet for the better. And once you get into them, there is just no going back because it starts hurting again to start cramming your feet into regular shoes. After trying barefoot shoes, they have definitely changed the way that I think about shoes forever.